Late afternoon sunlight slipped through the thick canopy of towering pines, casting dappled shadows across the unmarked trail. Hannah's lungs burned with the effort of the climb, the muscles in her legs screaming in protest. She paused to catch her breath, leaning heavily against a gnarled, ancient tree. A cool breeze tousled her sweat-dampened hair, offering a brief reprise from the humidity. Despite the rigorous hike, exhilaration bubbled through her veins. She was nearly there. The old Brandt cabin lay just beyond the ridge. This hike had become a ritual among the college students of nearby Brookside, a rite of passage for the bold and the brave. Whispered rumors swirled about the abandoned cabin, how it had once been the summer retreat of the Brandt family, how they vanished one winter without a trace. Some said it was haunted, others claimed it was cursed. Either way, the place hummed with the echo of the past, daring explorers to venture within. Her brother Ethan had talked about it often, his stories filled with a mix of awe and trepidation. It had been a year since his disappearance, a year full of unanswered questions and painful hope. No one had seen him since he set off for what he called a solo adventure, a test of courage, echoing the tradition of so many before him. Returning to this place felt like retracing the phantom footsteps he had left behind. As Hannah topped the ridge, the cabin came into view. Its weathered logs were almost silver in the waning light, the roof sagging slightly under years of neglect. The windows, dark and empty, seemed to stare back like hollow eyes. Despite its dilapidation, the structure had a haunting allure, pulling at her curiosity even as her instincts told her to turn back. The air grew colder, and shadows stretched across the forest floor like grasping fingers. Hannah's footsteps crunched loudly on the carpet of dead leaves. She hesitated a moment before stepping onto the creaking porch, a shiver tracing its way up her spine. Her hand paused at the door, uncertain. The wood was rough and splintered beneath her fingers, as though marked by countless other hesitant touches. With a deep breath, she pushed the door open. Hinges whined in protest, echoing through the emptiness within. Dust motes danced in the slivers of dying sunlight, and the air was thick with the scent of damp wood and decay. The interior revealed a single large room cluttered with decrepit furniture draped in cobwebs, an iron stove squatting thickly in one corner. But it was the silence that unnerved her most, a predator's silence, pressing in on all sides. A photograph on the mantelpiece caught her eye, small and faded. She crossed the room, her footsteps loud and intrusive in the stillness. It was a family photo, the Brandts perhaps, their faces blurred by time. They smiled out at her with an unsettling friendliness, as if to say, "Welcome back." She set it down hastily, the weight of eyes following her too disquieting. Exploring further, she found an old staircase leading to the attic. It groaned under her weight, each step a betrayal echoing her presence. Reaching the top, she found a trapdoor slightly ajar. Cold air whistled through the gap like a whisper, beckoning her forward. Steeling herself, Hannah pushed it open. The attic was low and shadowy, the ceiling slanted with the roof's pitch. Dust coated everything in a thick blanket, obscuring what had been left behind. Someone had been here recently, their presence marked by disturbed dust and a musky scent that was out of place among the other, more typical smells of abandonment. There was a journal on a broken stool, its leather cover cracked and worn. She picked it up with surprise. Ethan's handwriting adorned the pages, small and hurried. He had been here, she realized, her heart racing. The pages detailed his journey, his fascination and growing obsession with the history of the Brandt family. But it was the last entries that sent a chill spreading through her bones. Ethan had mentioned a noise that kept him awake, a persistent thudding in the night, almost like footsteps circling the cabin. He wrote about dreams that bled into waking, nightmares of being watched, hunted by shadows that twisted into human shapes. It was rambling, frenzied. The final undulating scrawl ended with a chilling line that seemed to vibrate on the page. They watch but never leave. A sudden noise, the unmistakable creak of a floorboard below, snapped Hannah back to the present. Her blood froze, heart pounding in her ears. She wasn't alone. Panic threatened to overtake her, but she swallowed it down, forcing her limbs to move towards the trapdoor. She peered down, holding her breath. The cabin remained silent, the first tendrils of night wrapping around its walls like a shroud. Steeling herself, she descended the stairs cautiously, feeling like an intruder in this place that seemed to defy time. She hesitated in the main room, listening intently for any further sound. It was then she noticed something she had missed before. A door in the far corner, half hidden by shadow. There was no record of this room in Ethan's journal. She approached it cautiously, her heart hammering as she gripped the handle. The door swung open smoothly, revealing a narrow corridor leading into the darkness. The air was colder here, biting at her skin with an unnatural chill. Her feet seemed to move of their own accord, drawn down the corridor like a moth to flame. It opened into a small room, empty except for a large mirror dominating the far wall. It was old, ornate, the glass cracked with age. Hannah stepped closer, her reflection murky but discernible in the fading light. Then, as she watched, the shadows in the mirror shifted, began to ripple and move independently of her own reflection. Her throat constricted in a silent scream as a face appeared alongside her own in the glass. Ethan's face. His eyes were wide, pleading silently before something dark and faceless pulled him back into the shadows. The mirror settled back into stillness, leaving only her reflection staring back, hollow-eyed and disbelieving. Backing away, horror coiling in her stomach, she stumbled out of the room. The cabin's silence felt different now, heavy with implications she couldn't fully grasp. She couldn't stay, wouldn't let herself be consumed by whatever force had taken her brother. Stumbling from the cabin, she fled down the trail as dusk deepened into night, the forest closing around her. The primal instinct to escape kindled a desperate energy in her limbs, and she ran as if pursued, until the trees thinned and the dirt path gave way to asphalt. Only then did she stumble, collapse to her knees beside the road, gasping for breath. Even as she sat trembling, feeling the grit of the road beneath her hands, she knew the Brandt cabin would haunt her. She understood now why people spoke of curses and hauntings. The truth of those stories was worse than she had ever imagined. Whoever, whatever, lurked there in the twilight between reality and terror had claimed Ethan, as it likely had so many before him. The shadows had long, patient memories. And now she, too, was entwined in their story, bound by the chilling, oppressive gaze of whatever watched from within the cabin's cursed walls. She had escaped the physical bounds, but not the lingering touch of that place's malevolence. As a soft wind rustled the leaves and the fading light cast its final glow over the horizon, Hannah knew she would never truly be free. Not from the memory, not from the fear. The others who had vanished, and her brother among them, remained part of the woods, another eternal whisper in the dark. And somewhere, back in that cabin, the mirror waited patiently, endlessly reflecting the ghosts of those it had claimed.